Hey all, this is Squeaky, and in this video I want to show you how you can create a Twitch command that will invoke a interactive controller workflow. Phew, that's a lot of words, but if you have been using a software I've written that is actually called interactive controller, you might have an idea what I'm talking about. But if you have no idea what I'm talking about, basically a few months ago I wrote a software, a utility application for other content creators that consists of creating a workflow with triggers and actions. For example, you can create a workflow that will simulate keyboard events or do other things on your computer. However, before we jump into a solution on how to create a command, I would like to give some background to this. So I did a YouTube video about this where I went through the application and what you could do and how you set things up. However, one of the comments I recently got on that video was, let's see here, if I scroll down, from Tom, and he wrote, "Is there a way to make a command in chat?" And I responded to him, "Hey, yes, but it is a bit technical. Normally your computer is behind a firewall or router, so a cloud bot, for example StreamElements bot or Nightbot or whatever you choose, cannot access your computer. But it is possible to use a third-party application to bypass this." So just to iterate here, when you launch this application, it is probably behind your Windows firewall and your router. So an external service such as a StreamElements bot or Nightbot cannot access your computer directly. However, there are some solutions you can do to actually open this up. So either you can open up your firewall and router and do port forwarding, or you can use an external tool such as ngrok. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that step by step, but there are multiple steps here, so we need to go through them one by one so you can actually see all the steps I'm taking and how it actually works. So let's start by actually opening up the interactive controller. So I've already downloaded it and I've unzipped it on my computer, so I'm just going to open it up here. And as you can see here, it launches and opens up a new tab in my browser. And from here, let's do a very basic workflow. So I'm going to press on create new workflow. So I'm picking only local webhook request here, and I'm going to put in a name. So in this example, I'm going to put in the name open notepad. Press next. Would you like to use a template? So yes, we're going to use a template here, and we're going to pick start notepad, and we're going to create our workflow. So our workflow was just created, so let's open it up. So I'm clicking on the gear here. And the first thing I'm going to do here is to enable the workflow, like this. And as you can see, this workflow only does two things. The first thing is it logs a message, and then it invokes a command, which is basically notepad.exe. So if I run this locally here now, you will see that after 5 seconds, Notepad will be launched. So run workflow, yes. This will wait 5 seconds and then run the workflow. Are you sure? Yes. And as you can see, Notepad gets started. However, there is another way we can actually run this workflow, and that is through a web request. So as you can see here to right here, it says, if you would like to run this workflow via a local request, for example in Elgato Stream Deck, please use the URL below. So what I'm going to do here is basically copy this URL and then run it in a new tab. And as you can see, Notepad immediately opens here, but it's because we actually invoked the workflow through our request here. So this is a good first step. So as you can see here, the URL here starts with localhost. And if you remember, I mentioned this in the beginning of the video, nothing on the internet can actually invoke this URL here. So this is why we need something called ngrok to bypass this. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So there are multiple ways to do this, but I'm going to use the ngrok because that's probably the most common way to actually open up a tunnel from your computer to the internet without actually changing any router or firewall settings. So what we need to do here is basically just type in ngrok here, then go to download, and then there are multiple ways here, but we're going to pick Windows, and we are going to download the Windows 64-bit here. So I'm going to press the download here, and I'm just going to save it. So once it's downloaded here on your computer, let's extract it. So I'm going to right click and then I'm going to hit extract, and I'm just going to extract it here to our folder. And as you can see here, we just get a single file here, which is an executable. So let's actually run this. So I'm double clicking on this. And as you can see, we get this Windows warning because we just downloaded this executable. So I'm going to press more information and then I'm going to press run anyway. And a new terminal was just created. But if you read here, it says ngrok is a command line application. Try typing in ngrok HTTP 80. So basically this doesn't have a GUI, meaning a graphical user interface. So what we need to do here is to run the application through a command line. And in order to open up a tunnel here, we need to type in ngrok, the application's name, and then what protocol we're going to use. And we're going to use HTTP. And we need a port number here. So let's go back to our web page here. And you can see that the port number is 1980. So I'm going to open up this here again, and I'm going to type in 9080. So what this does here is that ngrok will open up a tunnel from your computer to the internet here. So as you can see here, it says forwarding and then this strange URL, but it actually points to localhost 9080, which is the same as where we are running our interactive controller. So this is good. So what we need to do here is to copy the address it created for us, this one here, copy it into memory, then go to our tab here where it says localhost, and let's just replace this with the new URL. So as you can see here, we have just invoked our workflow that opens up Notepad using this new address. So this is great. So what we're going to do here is to copy this whole URL here again, because we're going to need that when we are going to create our command. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is actually create our command. So I'm using Stream Elements, so I will be using the chatbot. So I open up Stream Elements here, and I'm going to click on chat commands beneath the chatbot. And from here, I'm going to do a custom command, and I'm going to add a brand new one, add new command. And I'm just going to name this, for example, Notepad. However, in the response here, we need to actually write something very specific here first, because we're going to do our URL fetch. So I'm going to write in here $, then type in URL fetch, and then I'm going to paste in the URL that we got from ngrok, and I'm going to end with another bracket. And then I'm going to activate this command. So we've just created a new command here, and as you can see, it's called Notepad. So if I go over to my Twitch chat, so I'm just going to type in !Notepad, and as you can see here, Notepad opens. Meaning we've actually created a command that uses the ngrok tunnel that will invoke our workflow locally. Well, that's a really long sentence, but as you can see, we've connected all the dots here and actually managed to create a command that will invoke a workflow. So this was a short video on how to create a Twitch command that will invoke an interactive controller workflow. I hope that this video was useful for other people, and I wish you a continued great day. Just watch me.